Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. So today's video is going to be a car review for the Jaguar XJ220, which came with Gran Turismo 7's update 1.32. So finally it's in the game after being on the leaked car list for the longest time. There was a lot of people that were excited for this one and I'm totally with you there. In my opinion, this is one of the best looking supercars ever made and it always will be. So we're going to dive into this car, check it out both on the standard version and a fully modified version, and I'll come to my conclusion if it's worth your time. So let's have a look at the price point first. Now this is a plus point straight away in my opinion, coming in at only 615,000 credits. It's a lot cheaper than I think most of us really expected. At that price point, I fully recommend picking this one up because I can only see it inflating over time within Gran Turismo 7 as the prices for the XJ220 get higher and higher. So I fully recommend picking this one up a lot sooner rather than later, or I have a feeling you're going to be paying into the millions for this car. So let's test it out. If you've never joined me for a car review, what we do is take it around the Nordschleife for a hot lap in its bog standard out of the box form. No tuning, no parts or anything like that, and we'll see where it ranks on our hot lap leaderboard. After that we'll fully modify it, again no tuning, just parts only, and then we'll go and basically test it around a high speed ring to see what it's like fully modified and see where it ranks on that leaderboard. So the Jaguar XJ220 is finally here in Gran Turismo 7 and it doesn't disappoint. In fact, I feel this is one of the cars that Polyphony got pretty much exact to its real world counterparts. If you've ever seen anyone talk about this car or review this car, you will know a lot of people not only say the brakes are absolutely terrible, it's a very wide car, and the engine it got was one it did not deserve, and it should have got a V12 slammed in the back instead of the, I believe, twin turbo V6. Yeah, it all pretty much stands. So the first time I ever became aware of this car was, I believe, in the late 90s or very early 2000s. Obviously I'd seen pictures and footage of it around, however I didn't know too much about this car until I saw Martin Brundle talk about it on an episode where obviously he spoke about what it's like in a daily driver as well as a high speed record he went for when they hit 217 miles per hour in this car. He literally reiterated the same things I've just said. The brakes on this thing are terrible. It's almost like stopping a barge. It's very, very wide. And in all honesty, the engine in this car, well, I feel like it did deserve a V12 at the time. Obviously, this is a V6 engine. And because of that, the engine note is rather quite mute for just how aggressive and kind of big this car looks. That's not to say it's a terrible engine note, it's just rather quite laid back from what you'd actually expect a car like this to actually sound like from that time period. However, overall this is a fantastic car. It really is something to behold. Not only does it look absolutely beautiful, it handles superbly, although it's rather quite big, so on, you know, kind of tighter tracks and such, you may find that this car just feels absolutely ginormous. However, on more open roads, when you're able to get that speed out of it, it really doesn't disappoint. It accelerates massively quick, especially for a car of this period. You'd almost kind of feel like this car should feel outdated at this point, but it really doesn't. You know, this car is pushing on around about over 30 years old at this point, and it just doesn't feel out of place in terms of its high speed, acceleration, and just overall performance, apart from, like I said, those brakes being pretty damn terrible. So from standard, is this car worth the asking price within GT7? I would 100% agree. Yes, this is a stunning looking car, and I think for the looks alone, paying that price point is an absolute steal. But when you kind of partner that with the performance of this thing, the speed it has in a straight line, and the acceleration it gives you, it's a fantastic buy, and it is definitely one that you want to experience just because of the detail around this car and just how good some of the models are within GT7. It really doesn't disappoint. However, I am saying that from a person who absolutely lives and breathes cars. I absolutely appreciate anything with wheels and an engine. So if you're talking from a straight up gameplay point, then in all honesty, you know, you're going to be limited to those hypercar and supercar events. However, let's have a look how this goes on our hot lap leaderboard. It falls in the 600 pp category, and it comes overall 14th on the leaderboard with a time of 7 minutes 31 seconds 0.096, just below the Porsche 911 GT3 RS by a decent chunk. That model is from 2016. However, it does come above the likes of the Alfa Romeo Giulia GT Am from 2020 by around about a second and a half, as well as beating stuff like the Suzuki VGT. However, we're not going to stop there. We went for the full TWR experience and gave this a whole new look. Another plus point of this car, in my opinion, is the customization options, giving it that big wing, removing those headlight covers, and basically making this the full-blown race model. It's absolutely fantastic. It sounds a lot better as well with a race exhaust. It sounds much more aggressive rather than muted. And overall, giving this thing full modification transforms it into a whole different beast, and it's fantastic for it. So let's hit up the high speed ring as we go for our modified lap time, and as you can see, this thing does not hold back in terms of its top speed. It will hit upwards of 220 miles an hour, no problem at all. It will accelerate even quicker than its standard model by quite a bit. The only thing I did notice is there's quite a bit of understeer with this car, and those brakes, well, they're better, but they're still not perfect. However, it will stop much quicker than you actually think. If you kind of go from a standard stock version to this version, you may be quite surprised, but in all honesty, the brakes are not too amazing. However, it really does transform the whole feel of this car into some kind of retro racer that could easily be hitting up the likes of Le Mans and Spa back in the day, and that's kind of the whole feeling you will get with this car when it is fully upgraded. It is fast, it sounds better, it's much more aggressive into the corners, and it's definitely, you know, even with the understeer, very, very controllable, almost never breaking the rear end in terms of its traction. So overall, this is a fantastic modified car, and I fully recommend it if you just want an absolute blast. Now let's go and see how it ranks on our hot lap leaderboard for modified cars, and overall it comes in 5th place, beating the likes of an R34 Skyline, as well as the R33 and the C8 Stingray from 2020. It's definitely performed above my expectations. Now obviously this is no slouch of a car, however, with it being, you know, over 30 years old at this point, I expected it to perform in, you know, less than those heavily modified JDM machines and the likes. So this is a great car with a 1 minute 4.068. So there we have it. That is the XJ220, and in my opinion, this is an absolute bargain of a supercar. It's a piece of automotive history, and it's one of the best looking and overall coolest cars ever made in the history of, well, cars. Is it perfect? No. However, I feel like anyone that has a thing for cars and absolutely just loves anything with wheels and a machine will massively appreciate this car and appreciate the detail that's gone into it within GT7. In my opinion, this car was massively worth the wait, and it's definitely one you need to buy now and add to your collection. So that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I will go on and review the Super Formula cars in the coming days. I have a lot to say about those and some surprising results as well. Don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video. I make GT7 and motorsport content each and every day for your viewing pleasure. Big shout out to all of my channel members. If you do want to join those, there should be a button somewhere on this video. Also, big shout out to my sponsors, the Controller People and Poggers, for their continued support. My Discord, Twitter and donation link will be in the description down below. Have a fantastic day, guys. Peace.